A very good evening to you and welcome to this edition of Roundtable Talk on the G-Think TV. My name is Frans, Modise, and tonight we talk about the Constitution. Has the ruling party, the ANC, has it been successful or has it failed to use the Constitution as the agent of change? As Minister Lindiwe Sisulu recently has deposited her article where she questions the relevance of our constitution and also asks the question, whose constitution is anyway? On the other hand, the preamble in our constitution makes a provision or gives us a promise where it says the constitution must then improve the quality of life of every citizen and free the potential of each and every person. Now, Mr. Maake, good evening to you and welcome.
Good evening to you and to the viewers.
Has our constitution failed, or has the ANC, as the leader of the democratic government, failed to use the constitution as an agent for change?
Yeah, that's a very million-dollar question. The question differently put, are there mechanisms in the constitution or processes that could be used to deliver the promise that was made since 1994? Whether if people can really attain freedom as it was promised, as it was envisaged. One would say, partly yes, there are mechanisms that exist. If you ask me, let's talk about land. Section 25 of the Constitution, which some people say is limitation clause. But if you read the subsections, it also provides that the state has the power to expropriate land, for example, only through law of general application, which means the state cannot arbitrarily take land from someone without following the due process of the law, which means if it means that land has to be purchased, the state cannot refuse to purchase the land. The state must purchase the land. So in that way, it's a mechanism that the Constitution provides, that the land can be expropriated. Now, the other question would be, I suspect, can expropriation of land without compensation be allowed? Yes, Constitution does not provide for that. It did not provide for that since 1994.
But actually, the other contenders on this very issue, the problem that they have raised, your EFF and Andile Ngitama and others, BLF, they have said they have a challenge with this part that says if the compensation must be in accordance with the
market-related. It must be market-related value. Yes.
Why can't the government remove that clause?
I think now it has been amended.
No, it's there.
No, but the last time I checked in Parliament, there was this law, Valuer General, who was established so that he can make sure that that purchase of land is market related. No, I'm sorry. Yes, you are very correct. It is not removed.
Yes.
But even if it's there, the law of general application, even if the willing buyer, willing seller phrase is still there, but the state is still empowered by the Constitution to explore other mechanisms of making sure that they do expropriation of land. For example, in his answer, Ronald Lamola says to Lindiwe Sisulu, you have not pointed out what clauses in the Constitution are hampering the executive to undertake or to fulfill its responsibility to ensure that people's lives are being bettered, because we are promising better life for all. He says, but for just basic education, I will state that we have 3-tier land system. We are talking about how we are going to expropriate land. The 3-tier land system, it talks about tenure, redistribution, and expropriation also is there. You see, so tenants, those that are staying in farms, state will use constitutional mechanism to ensure that their rights are being protected, to ensure that if they want to buy the farm from their former farm landlord or employer, the state will provide resources to make sure that that land or that farm ultimately is owned by these tenants. So that is the tenure system. Then you have the other one of it's what is tenure, distribution, and compensation. So what it really did not promise is the issue of removing payment for property. It says no one can be removed from the property unjustly, which means you must pay. So that is the bone of contention that the parties like economic freedom fighters have raised, that to say, no, yes, you are saying that the expropriation of land can happen, but you are refusing as the executive to say that first you take over the land, it belongs to the state. All land is now nationalized. It belongs to the state. But I suspect executive would see, in terms of law, whoever has the right to the land has the right to any property attached to the land. So that is why if the state takes that route of saying, yes, all land belongs to the state, then it means South Africa has reached nationalization. And it would seem that executive that is currently in charge does not want nationalization. So that is why they have refused to say we agree with expropriation of land without compensation. We would rather use the 3-tier system to process land reform.
We'll come back to the issue of land. I want us to go a little backwards to say we are in a constitutional democracy, and how do we? I would like you to unpack these two concepts: constitutionalism and democracy.
Remember, the Freedom Charter promises that the people shall govern. I think it was taken for granted at that time that by simply saying the people shall govern, you are giving people the right to rule. But there is a man who wrote a very interesting book, Professor Mpho Maake. In his book, I think it's 1993 to 1997, he writes something very, very interesting. He says, from democracy to patrocracy, why party system can become undemocratic or is undemocratic. Mpho Maake hit the nerve of the question you have raised. Constitutionalism would say rule of law, basically. Equality before the law. Every citizen's rights should be protected. That is constitutionalism. A state that is ruled according to the constitution. Democracy, on the other hand, would say the people should govern. Now, Mpho Maake raises a question. Who is really in charge? Who is really governing? Are the governors the people, or are the people ruling through the governors? And hence the question of constitution and democracy. Some people are saying South Africa has not reached the stage of constitutional democracy. Why? Because instead of the executive, as Lindiwe Sisulu raises the issue, instead of the executive applying and implementing the constitution as it is, the executive seem to lack something they call political will to implement what the constitution is saying, because it's not expedient, or it is politically expedient for them not to do such. Classical example, the arrest of former President Jacob Zuma. Some people are saying, to show that it is a democratic state, to show that we are following the constitution, everyone is equal before the law.
Yeah.
Jacob Zuma also has to be arrested, has to go to court. If he's found guilty, he must serve term. Now, if you are not if you are not following constitution, you are going to change the constitution. You are going to suspend the law because of individuals, and you are returning the people to apartheid. Remember, apartheid system was different. It was a dictatorial system. It was a system that the executive, parliament or cabinet was above the constitution. The courts were subjected to the executive authority. But now it is different. They are now separated. You have three houses. The legislature is the lawmakers, parliament. Then you have judiciary, the courts. Then you have the executive, those that are in charge. All these three arms, they must work together. They must interact. These ones deal with the law, with the courts, judiciary. The president must not interfere. His cabinet colleagues as ministers must not interfere. Even the Minister of Justice himself. But when you look at what is happening now, that question of, is there synergy in South Africa between constitutionalism and democracy, or the supremacy of the constitution and democracy? Because it looks like the other arm does not support the other. The left arm does not know what the right arm is doing. You see, and that is a problem, because you need that balance, you need that synergy. So basically, I must emphasize that it's very clear that South Africa seems to have not matured enough, even if it's 28 years on, to the principle of true constitutional democracy, where everyone is subjected by the rule of law and everyone is equal. Also, the issue of democracy. The leaders see themselves as the mouthpiece of the people, but in terms of dictating to the people instead of listening to what the people want. For example, now if you look at recent local government elections, 2021, what the parties have put on their manifestos, the people have chosen, and the manner in which people have chosen, it looks like they have chosen against what the popular parties are saying. You know, for example, Action SA, you can see Gayton Mackenzie Patriotic Alliance Party, the issue of removal of illegal immigrants.
Or maybe before you get into that, I want us to go step by step and exhaust this issue, this question of Lindiwe Sisulu, whose constitution is it anyway? And I guess, the question that she's posing to us without saying it is this one, that it would seem that this constitution becomes effective only when it has to make arrests of certain people of certain color. But when it has to improve the quality of life, you have almost 32% of the population of the country, which is predominantly young, unemployed. 32% of the population living in squalor, poverty, and food, who are living in food insecurity. And the constitution is not effective in that regard. But when it has to, certain people must be jailed.
Must benefit
is
from protection.
Yes. I think that's the one or another. That's another question that she's posing to us.
Look, the issue is, what is South Africa's, what is the state? What are we? Are we a welfare society? What are we? Are we a developing state, as we hear this concept thrown to us all the time? Developmental state and what. But the issue is, we cannot really say that the state is a welfare state completely, because a welfare state is a very rich state, probably mostly first world state, second world level, or first world state, that has resources, that is rich enough to take care of its poor, but in South Africa, majority of the people are poor. So South Africa cannot become a welfare state. You can have an element of assisting those that are poor or those that are the downtrodden.
Yeah.
But you don't have enough resources to give everyone. To you build capital first.
Yeah.
Capital must first advance. You must build it first. Then when you have good capital muscle, then you can distribute it. So you cannot distribute what you do not have. You first have to build. Hence, probably others are speaking about a developmental state that South Africa must first develop. You know, but the fact of the matter is what you have raised from the Lindiwe Sisulu's article is very crucial. Why is the state seemingly unable to secure the needs to assist those that are poor? Why can't it advance the aspirations of individuals as it was promised from the Constitution? I will tell you again that lack of political will and not channeling the resources properly to where they are supposed to go to is a serious problem. There is too much wastage. There is too much, what do you call it, opulence. You know, when there are state functions, lot of money is being used, lot of millions are being used. Look at parliament sittings. It's like a Devon July. You know, you'll see it's like a fashion show. You know, I wonder the kind of cars that our leaders drive. They don't show that. They will show them on the red carpet.
Yeah.
But just imagine if people dress such suits that they are dressing just to go to parliament, to address people that are poor. Some of the people don't even have clothes. Some of them don't even have shoes. Some of them stay in shacks.
Yeah.
So South Africa basically is a country of poor people. We are very poor. The majority of our people are poor. The constitution and all its mechanisms and the resources of the country are not channeled properly to alleviate people from poverty. Poverty alleviation is a term, it's a program that is not effective. It does not reach people at all. So you need political will, you need discipline, you need people that can channel resources to where they are needed. You have now the crisis of state capture.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because resources were abused.
Yeah.
You know, to make the lives of certain individual opulent, to enrich individuals. So that was not what we signed up for. The masses signed up for a better life for all, not better life for some. So as you correctly asked, why only when certain individuals have to benefit? We quote issues like, no, Mara, we must protect this person. No, this person must not go to court. Then where is equality before the law? I remember how the issue of Jacob Zuma and the issue of State Capture Commission was blown out of proportion. We even went to the constitutional courts where some lawyers were questioning whether if his rights were not trampled upon. But your question is, what about the ordinary man on the street who does not have money to take his case to the constitutional court? Yesterday, CCMA, in one of the cases, CCMA ruled against the very very right of bodily integrity of a citizen.
A very strange
ruling. And exactly what you are raising on this question that is raised by Lindiwe Sisulu. So sometimes we need not look who's talking and why, but we look at the issue. We don't play the man, we play the ball.
True. Now, in the absence of political will to implement what the Constitution says must be implemented, or in the absence of political will to change the quality of life of citizens, how then can citizens organize themselves and hold their leaders to account?
Unfortunately, that era of UDF, that era of communities, civic society, the Sanko era, where people would sit down and have meetings and talk. It's now substituted.
To ask the relevance of Sanko
so it's now substituted. It looks like today we are free. It looks like today there is no need for such meetings. It looks like today now it is the people that govern. So how can you mobilize against your own government? So that is the idea that is being thrown around, that now there's no need to have such forums. Now you are free. You are in a democracy. This is the government you have chosen. So how can you rise against your own elected government?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, a democracy does not mean people must not mobilize.
Yeah.
A democracy does not mean citizens cannot voice their views, or leaders like Lindwe Sisulu cannot raise a view against authorities.
Yeah.
The minute when a person like Mervyn Derks,
Yeah.
when he stands up in a proper forum in the National Assembly and raises a question through a commission or a committee like Scopa where he was a member,
Yeah.
when he raises a question of accountability,
Yeah.
then the next day he's no longer part of the system. He's no longer part of the structure. He's no longer part of that party.
Yeah.
Then it tells you something about our democracy.
Yeah.
It means that we are still maturing. Our democracy has not yet matured. Because it says that everyone's right, must be respected and protected. But if I raise things against you as my leader or as my boss, then I'm fired. Then it means there is no democracy.
Yeah.
So it takes me back to what Themba Sono asked. Is partocracy not a threat to democracy? Because it looks like now this is partocracy. It's the rule of the party. The party is dictating to the people rather than the people dictating, to the executive or to the powers that be. You see, it's a centrist process. It's centralized. Policy making is at the top structure. It's not from the bottom. It's top to bottom, other than bottom to top.
Democratic centralism.
Yes. And the regime. And the regime. You've just reminded me something I quickly wanted us to run with. Themba Sono questions whether if partyism or a partocracy is not a threat to democracy.
Yes.
But I like what you have just alluded to, democratic centralism and the regime. You ask yourself whether if the powers that be, the tripartite, because now we are ruled by the tripartite. You ask yourself whether if the understanding of democratic centralism, is it the same as their masters, the Russians, the Marxists? Because if you look at what Joseph Stalin wrote, democratic centralism. Trotsky wrote something else. He added the regime. He said you must be careful of the regime in democratic centralism. Because the regime now becomes the new dictators. They become the new oppressors. That's why he said democratic centralism and the regime. So you must be careful that who's really in charge. So I think South Africa needs to sit down, detox a little bit into too much ideology, from too much idealism. Look at our constitution. Does it serve our purpose? What is there that is needed that can be used from our constitution? What is there that cannot work for us? It is a great opportunity now. ANC is going to their conference. It is the ruling party. Let's not look at this Lindwe Sisulu letter as a Lindwe Sisulu article. Let us look at it as a problem that South Africa has to deal with. Now, SIU, as a special investigating unit.
Before you get into the SIU matter with regard to the commission. You talk of the now. You have mentioned that now is the opportune moment. To examine or reflect on the constitution, and perhaps take the opportunity to amend those sections of the constitution that the people thinks needs to be amended. Now, given the coalition government that South Africa is seemingly we are heading to with regard to the national government, at the local government, it has already it's already happening now, and I think in 2024 we'll see that coming into a play at the national stage. Now, given that dynamic, do you think is it possible at this stage to even begin to amend the constitution?
The problem is the amount of votes required to amend the constitution. It's called an autonomous constitution. a rigid constitution
Yeah.
that cannot be easily amended. It was done like that deliberately by those who coined or who formulated the constitution during the Constituent Assembly
Yeah.
formulation of this constitution.
Yeah.
They made it a rigid constitution. You know, some of the leaders in Africa, during elections, when they realized that the term of office has now ended, they would quickly amend the constitution by decree so that they have another term. In our case, a president can only sit for 2 terms.
Yes.
It has never been amended. Others have been trying, but because of the 2/3, our constitution in South Africa requires 2/3 majority.
Yeah, yeah.
No party has 2/3 majority.
Yeah.
ANC missed that opportunity during the time of Thabo Mbeki's first term.
Yes.
They got something like 68%. And that was the time, the opportune moment to amend the constitution. Now it will be very difficult because there is no party that can really score 2/3 majority in parliament.
Yeah.
So that will be very difficult. But remember, we are talking about proper required amendments.
Yeah.
Look at what the government is trying to do. That's why I said there are mechanisms. The question is, are they used properly?
Yeah.
Tenure, redistribution, and expropriation. This is our 3-tier land system that Ronald Lamola used to reply to Lindiwe Sisulu's article. He said, I don't know why you are saying this. Because we are working, we are on a roll.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a 3-tier land system that we are applying. Let us investigate it. This issue of tenure is the one that deals with farm dwellers.
Yeah, yeah.
He claims they're getting assistance. But you are asking whether if the issue of expropriation, because expropriation is part of the 3-tier land system, but there's a blockade.
Yeah.
It cannot effectively work out because there is that issue of willing buyer, willing seller.
Yeah, I mean, more importantly, the issue of market-related prices.
Yeah.
That if the government has to expropriate, then it must compensate, dictated by the current market value of the land, and that is the most biggest impediment for
land redistribution or land reform.
Yeah. But also we need to ask: is it something that is impossible? It's completely impossible for government to remove that clause.
Yes, it's very impossible. South Africa is not different from Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
If you remember 1972, if I'm not mistaken, the Lancaster Agreement.
Yeah.
The very same willing buyer, willing seller was a problem. Mugabe was promised millions by the British.
Yes.
We will give you millions to implement land reform process. Same as what Ronald Lamola, Justice Minister, is actually saying. No, you have tenure, you have redistribution, and you have compensation or expropriation. But that expropriation or compensation is not going to be done in a radical form because I suspect some people don't want the Zimbabwe eventuality. The markets are in charge. South Africa is downgraded to level 0. It's downgraded by S&P. Those are market people. It's downgraded by Standard and Poor because the markets are the people that are looking at the progress that South Africa is making international. They speak to the investors. They hold trust. They hold investments on behalf of the foreign or external investors. Hence that debate of Reserve Bank. Hence that debate of nationalization. Why can't it happen? Because it is the masses who are being told by the executive, the leaders, the politicians, that the land, this country is yours. The country is mine, but I cannot walk freely. I cannot do what I want. Somebody was mentioning the issue of cabbages, saying, no, I have seen that in one municipality, Metro Police came and told someone to remove the cabbage garden that person has put in his own yard, for his own purposes. But the law came and said, remove this nonsense. We do not want it here. So basically, I'm just saying, practically, as we discuss these things, we must bring them to the level of other people. We cannot speak at the top of the heads of the people. Otherwise, then there's no reason why we are discussing these things.
True.
So we are trying to tone them down, to bring them to the level of Magogo on the street. Can Emagogo today say, my vote, when I vote for party X, every time, my vote promises me and guarantees me to is that pension?
Yeah.
What if they take my pension? Pension is not freedom.
Yeah.
Pension is not liberty. Pension is not democracy. Pension is not citizen rights. So it means that what Lindisi Sulu is raising is a fundamental issue, and I've never heard anyone including the president, anyone including Roland Ramola, anyone including opposition, saying let us sponsor now a debate. National debate. It can be online, it's fine. National debate on this matter.
Yeah. On the original scene, you remind the president at some point said, it was the president who said the original, we must remember that the original scene in South Africa was the issue of land dispossession.
Yes. And then we talk of before 1930.
Yes.
But now in this juncture,
Yeah.
we are discussing from 1930. But the truth is 1652, things happened.
Yeah.
When Jan van Riebeeck came here, when the Portuguese came here, Simon van der Stel, when they came here, they removed horses from their places there. They removed the Bushmen. They removed Hottentot. So everyone suffered as a result of dispossession of land. So it means that we need to go back to it's like we need a new CODESA. We need a new CODESA, a new TRC, a new let us say no, I'm sorry about this. Let me return what is not mine.
Yeah. And is that the ruling party? Do you think would create a platform for that kind of do you think there's a political will on their part to begin to say let's have a CODESA where we speak of issue of land and land wealth redistribution in terms of this constitution?
Very, very crucial, very critical. The ANC should move away from commissions to protect thieves, commissions to protect ministers that have done something wrong, task teams and agency for this that are meant to protect and sidestep issues when their members are involved or they are caught with their hands in the cookie jar. This is very important. The issue of National Conference of the ANC is the members of the ANC that go. You must remember that.
Yeah.
Come up with forums, come up with imbizo that ordinary people will also be able to come there and help you to shape the policy. Any policy that is centralized will not cascade well downwards to the people. Those that are supposed to implement it, they will not. Look what is happening at Soweto. Look what is happening with the crisis of electricity. Electricity people, ESCOM, they are charged, their billing system is almost affordable. But what is our leaders doing at the councillors level? They put their own billing system that makes things to become very unaffordable. Our people cannot afford. As a result, who is betraying us? It's not ESCOM. It's the people that we have elected. So that we really need to cascade things down to the level where people can be able to help you as a government to shape policy. ANC, if I have to answer you, ANC is reaching a stage of collapse. It has reached that stage actually where it cannot be a leader of society anymore. It cannot really afford to be because it has factionalism. It has so much factionalism that is making it impossible for them to look at people's issues. They look at who should be the president, who should be the next minister, who must we take to jail, who must we protect. So such a party is too busy with dealing with their own shenanigans.
On that note, let's leave it you to be the judge. Is the ANC approaching a state of collapse? You be the judge of that, and thank you very much for joining us as always for a very lively and thought-provoking debate, Mr. Maake. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on GThink TV and also to like our Facebook page. Till we meet next time, thank you very much.